awake. The NDC should not be under any false impression that with their 183 plus others in Parliament, they will find a way of forcing their way with very unconstitutional reforms through Parliament. The mighty minority will not allow them to have their way. We will stand firm with the people of Ghana and fight all illegalities in Parliament. We trust that Mr. Speaker would accord us the necessary support to air our views on the floor of the House. Now, let me turn my attention to the private sector. The NDC is collapsing the private sector. The government is punishing producers. On the day of his inauguration, Mr. President called on business leaders to help him shape, quote, an environment where creativity thrives and where fruits of their labor contribute to the collective welfare of our nation, end quote. But 120 days, that appeal has cuddled into betrayal. Businesses across the country, small, medium, and large, are suffocating. Why? Because the very government that promised partnership has become a predator. Yep. Suppliers, contractors, service providers, Ghanaians who finance and fulfill government contracts with their own resources or bank loans have not been paid. Some have been forced to shut down. Others have laid off workers, and countless others have plunged into debt, despair, and ruin. This government is presiding over economic vandalism, masquerading as governance. When the government refuses to pay its debts, it collapses the very economy it claims to lead. Mr. President, you cannot pay the people of Ghana who have sacrificed to work to build our infrastructure, who have supplied to state institutions. You cannot decide not to pay them. This amounts to the government sabotage of business. NDC government, you are ruining the businesses you came to meet. Your actions are becoming a liability. Now, on the import duties, we go on these broken promises on import duties and the COVID-19 levy. In his inaugural speech, the president acknowledged the pain of Ghanaians, promising to change the destiny of this nation of ours. But this government continues to allow what he had called during his days in opposition, crashing levies and regressive taxes on the backs of the sovereign people of Ghana. He promised to review and reduce import duties to make easier for traders, importers, and consumers. He has not. He promised to abolish the COVID-19 health recovery levy because the pandemic is long past and the people's pockets are exhausted. He has not. Instead, this government has maintained and even compounded the cost of living for every Ghanaian household. Prices continue to surge, markets remain unstable, and traders groan under taxes that, by his own standards, serve no current purpose, but enrich a bloated state machinery. Promises under the NDC government are no more sacred. They are just tools for winning elections and excuses for not governing. Betrayal of industrialization, killing jobs, killing hope. The president pledged in January to implement a 24-hour economy to stimulate, quotes, to stimulate local industries and attract investment, end quotes. But instead of building upon the 1D1F initiative, a bold, pragmatic program that used tax incentives to ignite industrialization across Ghana, the government of President Mahama has shelved it. The government has discarded it, abandoned it, and killed it. Factories that were planned under the previous administration now sit idle. Investment plans have stalled. Thousands of potential jobs have vanished before they could materialize. The message to investors in our economy is loud and clear. You are not safe here anymore. Mr. President, your reset is not a lifeline for the economy. It is suffocating lockdown on production. You are not creating jobs. You are killing them. Now, it is rich to hear the president tell us in Sona that the flagship project, the flagship program, 24-hour economy, also known as 133, one job, 3 shifts, would find space in the 2025 budget. That is what the president told us. That Dr. Forson, his finance minister, will pronounce on the 24-hour economy. But what did we hear? Another matricle. When Dr. Atu Forson appeared before the House with a budget statement, no mention was made of the 24-hour economy, their own famous flagship program. What Dr. Forson promised us was that, the 24-hour economy is being considered. And yesterday, as typical of them, they have inaugurated another committee. They said there's another committee responsible for enacting the 24-hour economy. Hey, President Mahama. Hey, President Mahama. Hey, President Mahama. About saying 24-hour economy at Tonsium. You promised that you were going to create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. This should find space in your first year budget. If you really mean business, in your first year budget, that should feature. The government has failed us. Government of lamentation, government of talk and less action. What did they say to the women? The women banking. They went to the market. They said that there will be women banking. Every town, every city, every region will have the bank being established. During the vetting, when we asked them, they said they were going to put the necessary support systems in place to get the licenses for this new bank. In their 2025 budget, the Women Banking Initiative was allocated a paltry sum of 50 million cedis. 50 million cedis. And to me, the market women in Winneba, Yamobia 2,000 Ghana cedis cry. Ebe, President Mahama. Ebe, President Mahama. Ebe, Menyo low. Menyo. Yeah. Yet they gave over 6 billion to their so-called Galamsey board. That gold board that they established. What is it for? Convert $275 million into cedis and get the cedi. They abandoned their own flagship initiatives and agriculture. Agriculture in the budget, they only allocated a paltry sum of 1.5 billion cedis. Even if you break the 1.5 billion cedis down, 950 million alone is for compensation. So the Erikopoku, the agric minister, sitting at the ministry, is a redundant minister. I don't know the work that the agric minister is doing at the ministry, because there's no budget for his ministry. How are they going to implement the Nkukon Kitinkiti? And then they loaded a lot of money under that so-called big push, which we are going to scrutinize. They did nothing for agriculture. They did nothing for the women banking. Yet they are promoting Galamsey. How do you say that you are establishing a gold board that is going to buy equipment for small-scale miners? How? It is a requirement. Go and read the Minerals Commission Act. If you want to go into mining, one of the requirements is to show your financial capability. you must show that you have the means to go into mining. So if a government tells you that it's going to buy equipment for miners, you should take it with a pinch of salt. What they are telling us indirectly is that their party boys involved in Galamsey are going to get equipment. And they say they are going to give them soft loans. Really? Government going to give loans for mining? They should tell us plainly that they are rather buying equipment, giving them money to promote Galamsey. And that is what we see. Now, they themselves are undertaking some false praise and making some claims. They claim that the city is strong because of the government's effort. I am a businessman. I will be happy any day if our local currency is strong, because that would help grow the business of Ghanaians, including me, who is a private sector player. But that is not the case. In this government administration, we know, all they know is deceit. They are claiming credit for what they have not achieved. We know on the global stage, the US dollar itself is having its own challenges. Recently, the ICE US dollar index, measuring the dollar strength against a basket of major currencies, indicated that the US dollar has slipped below 100 as market rule from rising sell America sentiment. The dollar is weakening not because the cedi is strong, but because investors are losing faith in the greenback itself. As Nigel Green, CEO of the VIA Group, warned just last week, quote, "Dollar dominance is being critically diluted. Trump's erratic tariff policies, investor disillusionment with U.S. equities and bonds, and global power realignment are fueling this slow but seismic shifts," end quote. So this is not an NDC miracle. This is a global monetary turbulence. This is currency recalibration on a planetary scale. So I'm telling the finance minister, go and pay the suppliers. Go and pay the contractors. The contractors must get back on the road. Government construction project must resume. Pay the contractors and stop holding back people's money. Now, there may be some few steps forward. We, as a responsible minority, will be objective. What are those few steps forward? Well, we are aware that they managed to take away the e-levy, betting tax and emission levy, that they have said so. But the real issue is that the promise of no academic fee policy for first-year students, they continue to talk about it. Have those students had the refunds made? When Akufo-Addo promised free SHS, it was contained in his first year's budget. Students were not asked to pay for later refund. No. They promised Ghanaian students in the university. What they are telling them is that, we are going to do it. But it's not a talk that we are after. We must equally be clear that some of the achievements that they were talking about yesterday fall far short of the scale and the urgency of the promises they made to the ordinary Ghanaian. You can't just talk about some few achievements that in real terms have no impact on the economy. If you want to talk about achievement, talk about achievements that have made profound impact on the economy. And we invite them to a debate. Their lucky parliament is on break. But we hold on to our submissions and deal with them on the floor of the House. They should tell us the so-called achievement. What real impact have these achievements made on the economy? Zero. Let me quote a policy analyst, Michael Kosi Dede. He noted on ChannelOne TV, that only 9 out of 26 items in President Mahama's 120-day contract have real substance. The reset, he said, are, quote, largely symbolic and cosmetic. I couldn't have agreed with him more. I adopt this submission as though they are mine. And I adopt them because this analyst is speaking to the real issues that confront you and I. When the appointment of ministers, an obligation under the Constitution, was presented as a milestone, I laughed. Clearly, to me, it revealed a government more concerned with optics than outcomes. You claim you've appointed few ministers, but you've appointed more partisan political staffers at the Jubilee House and other state agencies. So what are you talking about? Let me give you one example. Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu, the Minister of State responsible for government communications. We are told that the ministry was collapsed and he is there as government spokesperson. But he has some 3 deputies. They say a deputy government spokesperson, a deputy government spokesperson. And then at the same presidency, you have a communication director. At the same presidency, you have a director of research. Then you have a director responsible for agriculture. Ebe. And somebody. So Erikopoku is not competent. Erikopoku, as your lead servant on agriculture, you say that you are appointing a director of agriculture at the presidency to do what? Yet you come back and say, oh, you promised to do less ministers, so we should applaud you. They should do a much more tidy checklist, and they will know that they failed the people of Ghana. So yes, they may try to pat themselves on their back, but clearly, there is no clear delivery architecture for many of the initiatives that they've introduced. There is no single policy direction for any sector of the economy clearly outlined by the government for its ministers. No enforcement mechanism, no timelines. In too many instances, governments have substituted symbolism for substance. What we are witnessing is not the architecture of a national renewal. It is a scaffolding of political theater. Ghana does not need praise points. Ghana needs power, jobs, justice, and delivery. The difference is not academic. It is existential. Yep. Let me conclude. Mr. President, you have performed badly, poorly. Indeed, the failures that we have catalogued so far are not exhaustive. The cocoa farmers, under MPP, cocoa price per bag was 3,000. They promised to increase it to 6,000. We had it at 3,100. They said they were going to increase it to 6,000. Today, they have reneged on that promise, and they tell us that they didn't know the scale of the challenge. Really? So they didn't know and they were promising. We don't need symbolic gestures. they are only engaged in such practices and neglecting the structures. The deeper you look, the more you find that this government does not aim to transform, but they are engaged in a regression wrapped in rhetoric. Mr. President, you promised truth, but so far we are seeing evasion. Mr. President, you promised inclusiveness. Today, you are serving us with exclusion. Your Excellency, you promised partnership. But what we are experiencing from your government is punishment. You promised prosperity. What do we see today? Paralysis. NDC, I say to you, you've broken your promise. You have abandoned your own sacred oath as a government. You have abandoned your own manifesto. You've trampled upon the hopes of the nation in search of a meaningful continuity. But this country will not surrender. We, the minority, the mighty minority, will not sit back as we redefine and ruin reforms. We will not let you stretch your stay or mutilate the Constitution. After 120 days, we clearly see your schemes. We see your lame duck days. We see a government without hope. We see bitterness along the way. But we promise the people of Ghana that we will stand by you, we will stand with you, and we know that come the next cycle of elections, NPP will have an opportunity to reset this country on a positive footing for a better Ghana. Thank you so much indeed. Yeah. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make us great and strong. Yeah.